get me going so I can get everybody. Everyone do me a favor, send this out to 5 people in your immediate circle. And in your Instagram, you see the top corner. Yes, sir. My guy, you already know. Crazy weekend. Alright, we should be good. And like I always tell everybody, make sure you have a notepad and pen when we do these lives and have these conversations, because you know you don't want to trust everything to your memory, like my guy Max always says. That way, if you have any gems or anything any takeaways, you're able to write it down. Let's get this going. Let me put this right here. There we go. Everybody's gonna come in off for sure. Let's go. All right, there we go. All right, guys. Motivation Mondays, episode 43. Today's topics, we're gonna be talking about knowing the difference between enjoying your youth and destroying
your future.
And then we're gonna break down The Richest Man in Babylon, which we're gonna start doing week and week. We're gonna be finding books and getting right to it. Love, what's good? I know, right? I don't worry, I see everything. We'll talk after, but we're gonna get right into what we need to talk about today, which is our topics. Now, knowing the difference between enjoying your youth and destroying your future, I don't think it's something anyone kind of plans or realizes like when it's too late. If you get what I mean. Like, it's one of those things that can happen based off of, it's like what you always say, you don't just wake up and then tomorrow everything's a mess. Or you wake up and tomorrow everything is great for you. It's things that are built over time. Certain habits, certain things that you're doing at all times that can catch up to you later. But why is it so important that we acknowledge it and talk about it and have a conversation about it?
Well, it's awareness. Everything starts with awareness. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, you don't get to your destination overnight. You don't fail overnight, just like you're not successful overnight. So there's a process, right? There's a process. There's a journey that begins with the first steps. And before you take that first step, you got to be aware of where you're going. So the reason why we have these conversations is to bring to light, to let people know that take full control of your future. Know what it is that's going on.
And you know this, good morning everybody. As you come and welcome to Motivation Mondays. And as you talk about awareness, everybody's gonna get some type of awareness at a different age, whether it's high school, middle school, or in the work field, or when they go to college, university, or even when all of that is over. Everybody's timing is gonna be different. So sometimes we always talk about how like this platform is you versus you, and you know, not comparing and not looking at what others are doing or what others have, to like look at your life and be like, okay, I don't have this, why not? What am I doing wrong? But in that kind of sense, if you're thinking or having that mindset, what is the way you should be looking at it, or what is the words that you should be saying to kind of get yourself going or get yourself back on track to get all the things that you want to accomplish done?
There should be no reason why you compare yourself to anybody else other than yourself, because you're not like anybody else. You know, so when you compare yourself to somebody else's life and you start to feel bad about yourself, you do not know the ins and out about the person that you're comparing your life into. You don't know how they have it, what kind of problems they're facing, what kind of support they got, right? Because that's one thing that often people don't account for, is that people might be doing well off, but their foundation is a bit more stable than yours. So you comparing yourself to their life, knowing that you don't have the exact same foundation, it's an unfair judgment of oneself. So I think it's always important to compare yourself to who you were yesterday, because that's the only person that you know. Right? That's the only person that you know. You were aware of your shortcomings in yesterday and what it is that you need to do today.
Now, I want to talk about the importance of, like, how do you break down the terminology youth? Like, in terms of age group, because I feel like we're always young. Like, age is just a number.
You know, they always say, that's something that old people always say. Young people don't say that. But, you know, gradually as you get older, you probably, like, you know, for those mid-20s, early 30s, like, other than maybe your back and your knees, but you just feel mentally the same, spiritually about the same as you did, you know. So it's often, it's kind of like a perspective that we don't take into account when we're young. Like we just, you know, when you're in your teenagers, you think 20s forever, and you're almost 30 and you're thinking, damn, that's close to death. But for youth in itself, I mean, it varies. People classify youth from the age 14 to 21. I know even the government, they classify youth, I believe, from age 16 to 29. You know, now it's even getting pushed to 35. So I think, you know, such a cliche, age is nothing but a number, but it's how you live your life, how you feel about yourself. It's all about the mindset, right? You know, there's people in their 30s and their 40s, and they're in better shape and living life and doing all the things that people will presume is something that one should do when they're younger, in their youth years, I should say. So I think it's more kind of a mindset.
And you know, one thing that is beautiful about life is it doesn't matter what you're going through. The fact that you can be alive is the biggest blessing in itself. Sometimes people take that for granted because things are going so bad or things aren't going their way. But there's something in the world gonna wake up this morning. And you know, you got the upside of life where the blessing is you are alive. You can change whatever circumstance or situation you're in. But there's gonna be certain things you have to do to be able to do that.
Well, that's something that you should always be grateful for. Just, you know when they say when you wake up and you have nothing to be thankful for, just check your lungs, check your pulse. If you still have that, that's something to be grateful for. You know, and then move on throughout the day.
And how important is it for us to like look over, or like, because sometimes people face trauma, like, you know, things that have happened to them that may affect them, their brought up, them growing up, even being like working with people. And we always talk about looking for help. Like if you know that you feel there's some type of way, or you can't do certain things, or certain things are bothering you, it's never a problem to seek help or look for help or therapy or getting a mentor, or, you know, just having a conversation with somebody that can make you see, because sometimes it's hard for us to see it from our own eyes. You know, sometimes you need that advice from somebody else, or whether they have the accolades to be able to help you.
Well, it's all about one's own personal experience. Like, you know, you live on earth, you can never experience it all. Sometimes it's good to help somebody guide you through something that they already been through, so you don't have to go through that. I mean, if you're going down a trail of you're going down a trail and there's danger over there, and I say, hey, don't go that way. There's things here. Those who are stubborn want to go out and find out for themselves. But those people who care to make something of themselves and want to be something of life know that I don't need to go there because such and such has told me the outcome of possibly going that route. So it's always good to not even just from professional hear from other people's perspective. And I just say with that, don't be a follower, be a student, right? It's not one thing that one person says, you run on with it and you hold it as faith for everything that you do. You know, that's why I encourage everybody, you know, when you watch our platform, when you get information from me speaking on my brother here at E-Bone, it's not take it home to the bank. It's like, listen to me, listen to the other podcasts, listen to your parents, listen to your friends, and you decide what best fit for your life, right? No one have all the answers. I do not know you personally, right? I'm talking from a perspective and certain privileges that I do have as being an African-American young man. There are things that we all have privileges, and we all have problems that we deal with equally. Some problems are bigger than the others. Some people's privileges are better than the others. There's no doubt about it. But to take one person words as the Holy Grail and run with it is something that I highly encourage everybody to not do, right? So take home is don't be a follower, be a student. Dissect it. Figure out what works best for you.
And shout out to my guy Easy, of course, Bartley. Good seeing all you guys this weekend. Something I kind of came to my attention after this weekend was sometimes you just plan for everything to go good in whatever you're going or whatever you're doing. You don't kind of look at it backwards, like what if this was to happen or what if this happens. Is it important for us to do those things, to look at it from both angles?
Well, I mean, I don't dwell too much about what if. There's always what if, you know what I mean? Don't plan to fail. Those who plan to fail will eventually, you know, they're looking for the reasons of why. This is what I'm looking for. This is exactly my point. But at the same time, be cautious, right? Be diligent about your plans, right? But do not plan to fail, because there's always what if. What if this happened? What if, and what if it don't? The moment that things go wrong, we try to use that to taper our whole life and say this is what it is, this is what it always has been. Often we keep tracks and keep numbers of how things have gone bad more than they have gone good.
And I seen a quote where it says, do everything in your youth so that when you're older you can actually enjoy it. So whether it's hard work, working certain jobs, going, because it's so funny now that when you're active or like in the gym or even just getting older, you don't have to be active regardless. You can tell your bones stretching even when you crack, when you're like, we're getting old. You can. A lot of people would say that. It's like what you were referring to earlier, where it's like the people in their 20s wouldn't say that, but like you can tell. So it's like you want to try to get everything done so that when we are older, regardless if you have kids, you want to enjoy with your kids.
And that relates back to this topic. I mean, knowing the difference between enjoying your youth and destroying your future, it's kind of like there's a sacrifice that you have to make. I'm not saying. So you hear this all the time: save, and don't do this, and it's about balance. You got to decide. But we do know one thing is about having a better future. You got to sacrifice today. By that, learn to make things skip you. Does it mean everything? Does it mean that you got to indulge in what everybody else is indulging in? No, right? To have a better future, you got to give up something in the present. There's a pay price to action to have what it is that you want in the future. So there's a big difference between saying YOLO or life is for the living. All these slogans to make you make these impulsive decisions that later you might have to pay the price for. There's a price that we have to pay. The price of regret or the price of sorry, lost me for a sec here. The price of there's a price we all have to pay, right? Is do you want to pay the price of regret, knowing that what you should have, could have, would, all right, or the price of sacrifice, like paying it now? You have to pay the price. While you're young, if you don't believe in your future, if you don't think, and the reason why, okay, I'm going to say this, the reason why often people don't believe in the future because nothing has ever been stable. So there's that great thing that we always refer to, the marshmallow test, the Stanford study about the delayed gratification of offering, it was, I believe around age 4 to 9, or I think much older. But the whole thing, the test was about, was to test the delayed gratification. Eventually, they offer you a marshmallow now, or you can take 2 marshmallows later if you choose not to eat this marshmallow now. And what we found, if we take it back to the other side, when I was talking about impulse, those people who have hard upbringing or quote unquote broke, right? When they did that same test, they don't know where the next meal might come. They don't have a stable future. Those people always chose the impulse to act now. Take what it is that I get now, because they do not believe what is yet to come, right? And we all have to have a belief system, because as creatures on this earth, as living species on this earth, there's one thing that we have over animals, which is imagination, right? You could imagine where it is that you want to be tomorrow. You could actually see the future before it happens, right? But that comes with having faith and having a strong belief system, knowing that although it's not happening now, eventually it will happen. So acting upon your impulse and taking things now will cost you much more later. And that's what's been proven time and time and time again. And it is difficult. I'm telling you, it is difficult. But at the same time too, if you could always do anything that doesn't hinder your potential future, go for it. By that I mean, if you're just working and you're taking all your money to live in the moment, enjoying the moment, that's something that you got to think about. How will your life be like 10 years from now, 15 years from now, right? But if it's something that's not costing nothing, there's no potential harm to your future, by all means enjoy it. And we're going to turn into the monetary reason, because money is always a topic in hand when it comes to that. Should I work hard, take my money and go on vacation because, you're justified. We might die tomorrow. I'm going to talk about impulse, not believing that you have a stable future, right? And you talk about people saying, what if, what if you die tomorrow? Well, what if you don't and you spend all your money today, right? Then tomorrow is much harder than it was yesterday, right? So it's all kind of like about mindset mainly.
And, that's why it's so important that we practice certain habits that will help us cleanse our minds and help us to think properly and react and like just make proper decisions or the best decisions so that it doesn't affect us later.
At all. There's two things that predict success. Sorry, YouTube Pro, we just lost our connection on Instagram Live. There's two things that predict success. All right, just give us a second. I know the crowd don't want to mix this, but grab your notes. To the YouTube family, to the Instagram family, no technical difficulties.
I know we have a couple of people on YouTube. I said good morning back as well too, so just bear with as we let everybody know what's going on. As you get back this connection that we're back to good to go. But if you're here on our YouTube though, make sure you do click the like button. I know, let me see, Mia's World Book Club, how you doing? Hope you and your daughter are good as well too. If you're enjoying and watching, we got the live back on, so I'll get everybody to head there just in case. See, we have a couple of people watching as well too. But top of the morning to you. Let's put this back in here. There you go, Nana. How you doing? All right, we had a little technical difficulty, but our live is back. So we encourage everybody to head to our YouTube page. That way, there, if anything happens again, we won't have no issues. We're about to get into something real good too. Yeah, everyone do me a favor. Head to our YouTube channel, Motivation Mondays Live. In the meantime, alright, can't get the topics back in there. I don't know, maybe if you could, if you can, or Max, if you can, if you just copy and paste the topics and we'll pin it as well. But do me a favor, everyone that's in there, send this out to your immediate circle friends. Let's get this going. We're actually getting into something real juicy, a conversation, and I want to get everybody back in there. So I'll share this and get back into my page. There you go. All right, guys, get everybody back in here. So everyone who's joining us right now on the live Motivation Monday, and myself as well too, if you can head to our YouTube page, make sure that you do subscribe to our channel. Omar, what's good, brother? Got the hybrid on as well too, so love on that one. But make sure that you do head to our YouTube channel so that if anything happens again where we have any technical difficulties, you won't miss out on anything that's being said. So I encourage everyone, get your notepad, get your pen, because we don't want to leave everything to our memory. That's why we write it down. Shout out Chris as well to our Unknown Studio family, as everybody's getting. But yeah, Max, let's get back to where we left off on. I'm trying to remember.
Well, yes, I remember. I think we're talking about a couple of things that predict success.
Yes.
And the thing what I was going to mention is IQ, which we know is nurture. Most people are born with high IQ, is genetics. And one of the things that also predicts success is conscientiousness. And some of these things go aligned, and conscientiousness fall along in one of the big 5 personality traits. And people with high conscientiousness just simply means they're more organized, they're more disciplined, they get things done on time. And this doesn't necessarily mean you're smart or not, because the truth behind it, which I just found out recently, the correlation between those two of being high conscientiousness or being smart, high IQ is actually 0. Better yet, negative correlation, meaning it's not that you have one, you're going to have the other. So it may seem like the idea, there's people with conscientiousness and they may not have high IQ. And the reason why I go on to say it is because out of all the big 5 personality traits, conscientiousness is one of the things that's predicted into success. And when we talk about stable future, meaning that getting things done, believing in yourself, this plays a huge role, right? These are what predicts success, right? So it's one of those two. One of them is nurture, you're born with. If you didn't win the genetic makeup, so be it. Like, you know, it happens to most of us. I don't think I won the genetic makeup by making it work. But I go on to say that is because these things do matter when you start to think about your future and the things that you want for yourself, right? You want to believe that there's something better to come in the future. So you understand the purpose of sacrificing who you are to who you can become. And that plays a huge role. And when we talk about sacrificing your youth for the future, or better yet, know the difference between enjoying your youth and potentially hindering what it is that's coming up for you in the near future.
And you know, it's always great for us to speak about like having that positive mindset and reminding people that no matter what you're going through, it can always change. Your situation can always change. It can change for the better. You know, some people go through things in life where things are going good and things go bad. And, you know, we also have that saying that when things go bad, it's like almost everything else goes bad. Like, you know, you got to prepare for the storm when it's raining. But, you know, the sun comes after it all.
There's a, you know, and that's the thing. That's what we want people to believe. Like, regardless of your circumstances, you know, understand that you're here tomorrow. Always have that mindset. Don't take the crap. Don't take the easy way out, right? Because each time you make that impulse decision and saying there's no tomorrow and whatever, you make life harder for yourself. You know, if you keep saying to yourself there's no tomorrow and you don't take that step forward, you know, and then you're gonna keep moving on to tomorrow. You're gonna, and which is today. Eventually, you have those people that feel like, I don't want out, because they took all that they can earlier in their early years, and now they're heading towards what it is they were avoiding. They do not want to be there, and right, and that comes with all other kind of ideations. I don't want to talk about specifically, like feeling depressed, vulnerable, suicidal, all these other things, because you didn't invest in your future. If you're constantly living in the moment, thinking about now and maybe not tomorrow, you gotta understand when tomorrow does come, which is today, you're gonna feel a sense to escape because you do not prepare for what it is that you want for yourself today.
That one's real deep. And I mean, I think, like, as you're talking about this, I'm even thinking of my own personal experience and what I'm going through, and like certain decisions that were made, and like even remembering the pandemic and certain decisions I had to make sure, the word that you're talking about, sacrificing, to make sure that I have a better tomorrow, or my financial situation is better, by, you know, saying, yo, I'm gonna put a pause on some fun and just grind it out and really have a game plan and search information. But I feel like you gotta get to some kind of point, and that's where it's like one-on-one with yourself.
You know, people often reach out for help when they're at their lowest, and which is often very difficult to come out of. There's people that will personally reach out to me, and it's kind of like, the best time to act is in the moment, when you feel like it's time to act, you know? Sometimes it's difficult to wait until you're at the very bottom to get that help that you need. One, it starts with self. People are always too embarrassed to ask for help when you're in a dark place. And two, when they do ask for help, it seems like the chances of actually taking that first step is impossible. Like, it will never happen. So as you are saying, it will take people to get to a dark place to actually see what it is, you know. But when things are good, plan for the future. When you have extras, plan for the future. And we're going to talk about the richest man in Babylon, but it's so important that we choose security over impulse, right? It's so easy to want to indulge in every single thing, right? I mean, it's for the last couple of weeks, it seems like Toronto is the city to be in with everything that's going on and enjoying everything. I mean, if you can live in the moment, go for it. But understand that you got to learn to let things skip you. Are those things more important to you now than who it is that you want to be in the future, right? And for those people that pay the price early on in the year or last year to enjoy this weekend, that's what it's all really is all about, right? There's a paid price to action. You cannot have it all. Take full responsibility for what happens to you and what it is that you're going through. And I'm not taking nothing up over the table like some people can do you wrong and so be it. But early in your show, I talk about we all have hardship and we all have privileges, right? You got to take the good with the bad, right? And the only way you can overcome anything, right? You can always blame, but one thing about even having a chance at life is lacing up your boots, saying I'm going to do the necessary things it takes for me to get where it is I need to go, no matter what.
No excuses.
No matter what. Not everybody will make it out, right? You know, you hear people, motivational speakers will talk about, you know, survivor's biases, how things went well for them, and if you could do it, if I could do it, you could do it too. They give you this speech, not accounting for some of the privileges that they have, some of the support system and the foundation that they have. I'm not taking that away from nobody. So that's one thing I always try to be cautious of when I'm talking to somebody is I do have advantages, I also have disadvantages. I'm not taking credit or not deleting anything from it. However, none of that would have mattered if I didn't take it upon myself to make that necessary change. You gotta give yourself a chance, right? Doesn't mean you're guaranteed for success, but you gotta give yourself a chance.
And let me make sure, just give me thumbs up if our sound is good. I'll just get this one on. There is an echo too. How are we sounding now? I think we should be. Oh, we got a thumbs up.
Thumbs up, for sure.
Right. Appreciate that. And yeah, muted it. Alright, it's back to 100. Everyone's good, son, or what? I guess, okay, I think we're good. We'll keep it like this. Because mine is on, but I don't hear either. But it's okay. As long as you guys are good and you can hear me, then we'll keep it like that. And I always tell people right now, okay, thumbs up and like this. We have our YouTube channel as well too. So if you're having any difficulties, YouTube is always the best way to go to watch and listen. And like I told everybody, make sure you have your notepad, make sure you have your pen. It's 11:18. I know I want to get into our affirmation of the day, and then we'll break that down as we usually do it at 11:11. But let's get right to it. Our affirmation of the day, our affirmation of this week is, I deserve all the wealth and success I have earned. Nothing will stand in my way to achieve success today. I believe in myself and I'm seeing the positives in everything I face every day with enthusiasm and positivity. So I'm gonna repeat that one more time and then we'll break that down. I deserve all the wealth and success I have earned. Nothing will stand in my way to achieve success today. I believe in myself and I'm seeing the positives in everything I face every day with enthusiasm and positivity. Let's break that down.
I mean, it speaks for itself. Like, you know what I mean? Believe in your success and everything that you have earned. Don't take nothing for granted. Don't let anybody to downplay anything that you ever done. You know, and these are things we say to ourselves to reprogram our mind, to believe in ourselves, to eventually take that first step. For anything to work out for you, got to believe it's going to work for you, right? Your belief system is anything. It's what push you through even when it doesn't look like, when other people don't see it for yourself. You know, you got to see it for you, and you got to be enthusiastic about what it is that's coming before you. You know, energy is everything. We all know how it is to share good news with somebody and they're not reciprocating that kind of energy. We all know how somebody could just energize us into doing something that we're not sure of. You know what I mean? It's just that hype. If you're playing on the sports team, the team morale, the hypeness is that you got to be enthusiastic about what it is that you want to accomplish today, the success that's before you, and think positively, right? There's always a reason why something will not work, right? The negative mindset is there, right? It doesn't take long why you shouldn't do something. You know, there's always going to be a reason why you shouldn't. I mean, Motivation Monday, if each Monday it seems like we have technical difficulty, if that's your reasons why we chose not to do something, that's something we would have gave up a long time ago, right? You always got to overcome your circumstances and the situations, right? It's not guaranteed outcome, right? It's not guaranteed outcome, but guarantee yourself a chance. Because without even giving yourself a chance, you're not guaranteed nothing. By default, you lose. You got to play to win, but you don't got to play to lose. You automatically lose if you don't play.
Well said right there. And you know, it's crazy. Sometimes do you ever like I'm pretty sure we look back to see how far we've come individually, through the good, the bad, the even having this. I needed this conversation to hear this conversation. It's been a wild weekend, but the fact that I'm breathing, I'm alive, and there's a new week to kind of make things right, or analyze whatever went wrong, or even holding myself accountable, like where I could be like, okay, maybe I could have done this better, maybe I could have. And it's me having these conversations and being real with myself. And I think sometimes in society we're not real. We don't keep it real with ourselves. We're trying to have this mask and think life. Nah, it don't work like that.
In moments of distress, we lose oneself. Whatever their emotion takes over. Do not let your emotion control you. Right? Do not let your emotions control you. Have your emotions under control, because if your emotions can control you, others people control you, because people could pull upon your emotions, right? But in moments of distress, we lose ourselves. When things clear up, you're like, damn, I should have handled things differently. But as humans, we all experience it. We live and you learn. To make that conscious decision is a different story. It's just don't make it a habit. And habit is something that you repeat in each and every single day. Practice self-control, which is, once again, one of the things we talked about, what separates you enjoying your youth and destroying your future. Self-control, delayed gratification, sacrifice, self-control, being organized, being disciplined, right? Do not let your emotions get the best of you. It's easy to want to do this right now. It's easy to say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I need to act upon. But when the things clear up, we often don't feel the same as we did in the moment. Practice self-control. We're all humans. We're all making mistakes. Do not let your emotions get the best of you. After a while, you're embarrassed of your ways and how you handle the situation. And then you want life to give you another try, how you have it figured out, which is good, Learn, practice, teach. Share that moment with somebody else and hope they learn from it. If you get the opportunity ever in life to do something again, relive a moment, take it.
And we're back on YouTube as well too. I see our IG live signed out as well too. We got about like 7 minutes, so I'll just keep it to the YouTube.
YouTube family, you always get the perks.
And it's like what we talked about. I think it's the Wi-Fi. That's what it is. But we'll figure that out immediately after this episode. It's crazy. I needed that talk. I needed that maybe Saturday morning or Sunday. But you live and you learn, and you get right back to it. And I seen a couple encouraging messages in the chats, because some people just try to hide under a rock when things don't go as planned.
To show maturity, to know that you learn from it, take full responsibility, even if it's out of your hands, even if it wasn't at your own doing, and it's not like you owe the world anything, but take full responsibility for anything that you're part of. Take ownership, right? It's easy. People always take the glory in moments when things go well, right? But when things go wrong, they had nothing to do with it. With the same percentage of anything, right? I'm not saying be fully responsible for what's happening. Understand that. Like we always talk about responsibility, accountability is key to everything. When things go wrong, you take a role and part in it, right? We're all quick to be part of the parade in the little percentage that we have, but when things go wrong, it's a small percentage that had nothing to do with this, right? But do not let your emotions get the best of you. We're all humans, We gotta learn from moments like this, and when life gives you the opportunity again, which most often it won't. Life don't give you the same lessons twice. It teaches you a lesson, bad or not, and move on. Like, this is all you get. Take from it, and the next time you come something similar, I hope you learn from it. But take full accountability and understand that we're all humans. Don't beat yourself up on it.
And I mean, the more that you're able to understand the way of life and the way of like how the human, like as human beings, how we are as individuals, and knowing that everybody's different too, right? The way you may look at somebody is not the way somebody looks at you, or the way you may respect somebody is not the same way somebody, and we get caught up sometimes in that. That's where, they say expectation leads to disappointment, right? So it's understanding that the more you realize that, it makes it much, much easier for you to deal with people. And I seen a tweet the other day where it's like, they understand why Noah wanted to just go on the ark with just animals. And it was funny, like it really made me laugh. And as you get older, you realize, like, you know, when our parents were telling us to be careful with friends, and now you look back, you probably don't have this, you know, if you can have that same core of friendship, kudos to you, because it's very hard in this day of age. You either outgrow people outgrow you, life gets real, people have kids, jobs, like, you know, people are focusing on their future and etc. But, you know, it's a beautiful thing knowing that life can change at any moment, and that the plants that you see today, you can bear the fruit later on. And that's what's very important.
You know,
jeez, that's a max. Like, you see me.
Plant the seed, you know, to have something to look forward to, you know. And I know, like, this is so tough. Like, I know somebody's probably watching. It's easy for you to say, like, I know, like, you could be down and out, like, you barely have enough, and you're talking about sacrificing now for tomorrow. The little that I do have, you're telling me to invest, but you want to constantly live in hand to mouth, or maybe for once go to bed hungry so you can have a real meal tomorrow, like, you know. And it's hard, I know it's hard.
You just reminded me of Ghana. I didn't want to spend the money that I made from working. Yeah. So there was one day out of the 2 months I was there that I didn't eat. Like, I was sad because I'm like, I'm not spending this money. I'm just going to go on a water diet. And it was so hard.
Pay price to action.
Yo.
Pay price to action. Whatever that sacrifice, whatever calling that is within yourself. And then in the moment, you know, I mean, those are the moments that makes us enjoy the good times. Honestly, when we have stories like that to share, because it meant something. And the reason why you can recall it so much, you know, and that's the thing about, you know, about enjoying yourself, because there's always going to be moments that top the last moment you enjoyed yourself, right? Your best day is yet to come. Right? I say this all the time, your best day is yet to come. I hate when people say my best days are behind me. No, it's not. You create your best days. You know, if your best days was spending quality time with your loved ones, well, create for that to happen again. Right? I don't see my siblings because they live in such and such here. Well, take it upon yourself to be the reason why they come together to live those moments again. Right? But those moments you talk about paying that price, that's what makes it worthwhile. That's what life is all about. And I'm going to pull out this quote this morning because it was kind of very meaningful after I wrote it, and it says, life is a struggle that keeps death at a respectable distance. I'm going to say that again. Life is the struggle that keeps death at a respectable distance. Right? Life in itself is a struggle. Right? We all know. Eventually, all of us will have our day. But life is a struggle that keeps death at a responsible distance. That's what life is all really about. Those moments like those. Like, you know what I mean? You want to have less moments like those, but you have to pay that price. You have to pay that price. Even if something is given to you for you to have a better future, you have to pay that price. Because we always want more. Human, we're never satisfied. We always want more, bigger, better things, which is good.
And shout out to you, because now I know Ghana. When I go there, I'll be driving. I know what to do to make sure I got the Ghana license.
Yeah, pay price to action, no sacrifice to have a better future. You know, I mean, there's a couple of times I skipped out on taking vacations and not being part of, not going to certain kind of events because I was invested in my future. You know, and then when you're doing it, people may look at you crazy, which is tough because we do care what people say and think about us. Right, when you have goals and future plans and you choose to skip out on something, but this is the very important thing I want everybody to take home. Volunteering to not do something sit much better than being forced to not do something. When you choose to sit out on something and you have control over it, you do not care. There's no kind of resentment. When you choose to not take vacation with your friends, to not go to that concert, to not buy that new shoe, right? You can, but you choose not to, is way different than being in a position not to, right? Because you start lying to yourself, you start lying to them why you can't go on that vacation. Not because you don't want to, you're telling them you don't want to, you just don't have the money. There's a sense, and then they're telling you something, there's a perspective that you start to look at your friends that. There's a resentment, right? Because you want something that they're doing or they have but you can't have, right? You start to grow some type of resentment against them or against yourself because you start lying to oneself and become this person that you do not want to live within yourself, right? So choosing to do something voluntary is so key, right? Don't let life make that decision for you. Always make that decision for yourself, right? That's what freedom is all about. The freedom to either work this job or not to, the freedom to take this vacation or not to, all these things. One thing that I do, I turn my birthday into a national holiday. To any potential employer that's ever going to see me, I never work on my holiday. And I mean it. Like, I literally walk out on the job if I can't get that day off. Like, and I don't gotta lie. Like, it's one of those things I say to myself. And this is not to brag or anything, but that's something that I made very meaningful to me, right? And that's something that I truly want for myself. But does that mean maybe if it's talking to the employee that, okay, you know what? Then maybe one of the holidays we do need you to come in. That's a pay price of action. That's something I gotta pay for that future, right? For something that I want for myself. And that's what a Strictly is all about. Like, you know what I mean? If you wanna go on vacations 2 months, or do you want to go on vacation every once a year for maybe 3-4 days, or do you want that big home, but life is hard, but you keep going back to the same job that you don't want to do. So learn to know the difference between enjoying your youth and destroying your future. Pay price of action. You're gonna pay a price. Don't let it be the regret. Don't let it be regret.
And I know we were supposed to touch on the Richest Man in Babylon, but I'm actually happy we get to say it because I have the book at home as well too, and I would love to have
we get on the quotes. We are going to post it. One of my favorite books, Richest Man in Babylon by George Clayson, and it just talks about, like, just in general, just a brief moment, some of the things that we touched about earlier about, like, investing in your future. And money is everything. I never want to leave that off the table. Money is it's not the everything, but money is important. It helps a lot. It helps you to contribute to the things that matters. So next week we will dive more into it. This week, look out for it. It will be our weekly recommended books, or books that we encourage you want to read. And it's not so much, it doesn't have the hidden gems about philosophy. When you read, it's about mindset. Earlier we said, don't be a follower, be a student. Listen to that person, read that book, listen to that podcast, talk to this person, and decide what works best for you. You know what I mean? Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. You don't want that regret weighing down on you a year from now, 2 weeks from now, right? Be disciplined.
And I think that, that in itself just wraps up the whole conversation of, knowing the difference between enjoying your youth and destroying your future. And we want everybody, no matter what you're at, wherever you are in your life, like, we want to see the positive outcome of the sacrifices that you've made to see a better future in whatever it is that it is your calling, or that is your goals, or that you want for yourself or out of your family. So you don't want to put that out there before we get out of here.
Mm-hmm. And have faith. It's just about having faith and imagination. Why would I pay anything now for something I did not see tomorrow? Faith and imagination, right? That's what sacrifice is all about. That's what it's about. Being disciplined, being organized. Why would I pay for something now that I'm gonna get tomorrow? Faith and imagination. We do it every single day. You know what I mean? We don't pay for our plane tickets when we're about to go on flight. We pay before our food. There's nothing in life. There's always a pay price to action. And it's about faith and trust that the service that you're paying for, you're gonna receive that, right? So thank you guys very much for tuning in today. We appreciate the love and support like always.
And to shout out to everyone who's going to be getting to this part at the end. I know sometimes people watch it on the IG Live, but we encourage everybody to watch it on YouTube. And if you do come on our page, make sure you do subscribe. Looking to get about like 20 new subscribers this week, to be honest. And then we'll get into another 100 set, which is another milestone. And then we just keep going and repetitive things to keep this growing. But yeah, that wraps up Motivation Mondays, episode 43, making the uncool cool while realizing it's you versus you.